Hey there, everyone. Welcome to 15 Rounds of Flambé with your hosts, Aaron and Matthew Johnson. We are your Charizard flamethrower hosts here for all you Pokemon Go fans out there.
Aaron, we're not going to be doing this.
We have
I'm
to.
telling
We
you to
have to.
stop now.
Pokemon Go's been too great. We had to. We had to throw something in
Pokemon
there.
Go, the game I just played Pokemon Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire. That's what I play. Everyone get a 3DS and battle me.
Okay, we'll see about that. All right, everybody, we're going to start today talking about the big news coming out of the NBA. For me and Matthew both, and for all you NBA fans out there, Tim Duncan finally calling it a career, great career. Matthew, what do you think? What do you think about one of your biggest nemesis as a Laker fan?
Yes, even though he knocked out my Lakers a few times and probably caused the end of a further greater dynasty, there's no question he's been one of my favorite players. Nicknamed the Big Fundamental. I just love his offense. I loved his game overall. It was just smart, good basketball, and he's no question to me the greatest power forward of all time.
The thing about Tim Duncan, and I do agree with you, I do think he's the greatest power forward of all time. It was a great mixture of a perfect storm. His game with him when he came out of Wake Forest, his game, his attitude, going down to San Antonio. The Spurs organization was a great place for him to go. The success that they've had, I feel like, has flown under the radar for a lot of people. He made the playoffs every single season since 1997.
Yeah, that was just like I was looking up some of the numbers. I'm just gonna look at them really quick, and some of them were just ridiculous. Like in all the games he played in, he has a 71% winning percentage. And he has won 1,001 games of the 1,510 games he's played, and that's just ridiculous to me.
I said they won. The Spurs have won 50 games every year since I don't know if it was 97, but since 98, 99, and it's been I looked at the stats, and when you look at it, you're just like, they really have won 50 games every time. You look, it's like 40, it's like 52, 53, 50, 40,
yeah.
50.
And he's always been that stable. I was looking at, we remember some of these late 90 teams, like with players like Sean Elliott and Steve Smith and Danny Ferry and, of course, David Robinson. And now he's playing with Kawhi Leonard. He's playing with LaMarcus Aldridge. He's been like the one staple across 20 years of Spurs basketball, which has been one of the best, which has probably been the most consistent and the best in the NBA.
Oh, by far, and one of the best in all the sports, to be honest with you, because he leads with 5 rings, 19 years,
2 MVPs,
2 MVPs. He won a Finals MVP, I believe, one of those years too. And so I said, Tim Duncan is, I said, the big fundamental. He has, and it's funny that you talk about. He has really been that staple, that linchpin, and not only in the game as it's evolved, but for that whole Western Conference side for the San Antonio Spurs. And it's sad to see him go in a way, but you could tell that he was down on his last licks, especially in that series against the Thunder, where the Thunder were just so much faster, and you could tell that the game.
We're just athletic. Father Time beat you again.
Oh yeah, no one can outrun Father Time. Not no one at all. And we would definitely be remiss if we didn't bring this up. Can we talk about how Kobe Bryant and Tim Duncan, 2 of the greatest players of all time? Kobe Bryant, I know, is your favorite player. Yes. I think in every sport that we watch and everything. Kobe, I know more facts about Kobe Bryant because of you than I probably ever should. But to have Kobe Bryant and Tim Duncan in the same season retire, it's showing that the changing of the guard is happening in basketball.
It's really crazy. Basketball's gonna be very weird for us when we watch it again in November. And it's just crazy because you got 2 of the top 10 greatest players of all time retiring at the same time. And I don't remember, not just in basketball, but in any sport, have 2 such towering figures left the game at the same time.
I can't remember the last time that's happened either. It's crazy to see. It's crazy to even think about. But I said Tim Duncan gave us memories I don't even think we will ever forget. I said when we have kids and grandkids and we sit down and talk about who's the greatest power forward or who's the best position. Tim Duncan by far. We can argue, Jordan was probably the best guard, but then you can also make the argument for Kobe or for someone like that. Centers are gonna always be.
You can always argue about centers.
Yeah, you can always argue about centers. I think the greatest center of all time was Hakeem Olajuwon. But I think the greatest center I ever seen was Shaq because he was just so dominant.
Dominating, yes.
He's definitely the most dominant of all time. But there's no question for anybody that watches the game of basketball who the best power forward of all time is, and it's Tim Duncan. And so
Yeah.
it really has been a pleasure to watch him.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, I agree. I mean, we're just watching him play. I mean, the Spurs are still going to be great, and it's just him and Pop. That just remind me of like Russell and Red Auerbach back in the '60s. I guess that's our version of them 50 years later.
Mm-hmm. But it's gonna be crazy to see. Good luck down there in San Antonio.
Yeah. And with baseball's Midsummer Classic happening Tuesday night at 8 p.m., what's something you're looking forward to, either going into the game tomorrow or for the rest of the season after the break?
Well, the first thing I'm looking forward to, especially after the break, is going to be all the aces coming back. We're talking about Yu Darvish from Texas, Clayton Kershaw from the Dodgers, Noah Syndergaard from the Mets. All these guys that kind of had issues as far as injuries, or with Syndergaard in the case of being tired. It's going to be interesting to see all these guys come back. I'm excited to see all these guys coming back. I love watching great pitching. I'm one of those guys that doesn't really care for 8 to 10 games, but I love the 2-1s, the 1-0s, when you get two aces on the mound and they're really battling each other. So I'm excited to see a lot of those guys come back from injury. I'm also excited to see if the Cubs can keep pace with all the high expectations going into the season. Right now they are second best record in the National League behind the San Francisco Giants, who Madison Bumgarner was amazing last night. That was absolutely 14 strikeouts.
One of a no-hitter for the longest time yesterday night.
Yeah, so he lost it, I think, with 1 out in the 8th inning. So it was Bumgarner is gonna be Bumgarner. He's gonna hit home runs and strike people out. But those are gonna be the two things I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to see if the Cubs can live up to expectations and kind of bounce back. They had a little bit of a slump towards the end of the first half of the season, and I really want to see all the aces come back. What about you, Matthew? What you looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with that too, because the Cubs, right, I have the stats in front of me. The Cubs are 53-35, and the Giants are 57-33. So it's gonna be interesting to see if the Cubs can finally break the curse after so many years, or the Giants are gonna do every other year World Series champions. So that's gonna be fun to see.
The Giants are something else, because they kind of like we talked about in the last one about the Spurs flying under the radar. The Giants really just maybe because they're out in San Francisco, maybe because they don't have Barry Bonds cranking stuff out of the park every 2 seconds. I don't know, but they won World Series title. Like Buster Posey is gonna go down as one of the most underrated champions, multiple time champions in baseball, and it's crazy.
Yeah, I think a lot of it does have to do with it's on the West Coast. Those games start at 10 p.m., 10:30, and a lot of us we're sleeping then, so we don't usually see them often. But they're just consistently winning. And
it's good for Bruce Bochy.
Yeah. I mean, to the game, I'm excited to see just a bunch of stars. I mean, in San Diego tomorrow. You got the hometown, Will Myers. He's going to be competing in the home run derby tonight. But then you also have, Jose Altuve from Houston. You got Mookie Betts and that young Boston team who's... Their offense is just firepower.
And I remember when Bradley Jr. came up and Mookie Betts all came. I remember and I was like, oh, look at these guys. All right, let's see how they do. And I was just like, all right, I don't got to worry about that. Mookie Betts is up. I don't got to worry about that. Bradley's up. And then out of nowhere, these guys just said oh no, we're gonna really have a great season this year, and exploded onto the scene.
I mean, I watched a few of their games, and almost everyone in their lineup is batting over 280, and there's no week out, so. They're always putting up ridiculous ones.
And the thing that we also got to talk about going into this All-Star game is going to be Big Papi. It's his last All-Star game, and as a diehard Yankee fan, I've been a diehard Yankee fan my whole life. There's something about David Ortiz that just you want to hate him when he's doing great against your team, and you do. I said the 2004 World Series will forever be one of the darkest moments in my sports history. I remember I was gonna ask Dad if we can go and get tickets when the Yankees went up 3-0 to the World Series. I remember saying, hey, can we get tickets, and go down to the World Series? The Yankees are up 3-0. Exactly. He was like, nah, we're not going to get no tickets. But I just, and the home runs that he hit off of Rivera, just in that whole in that whole ALCS, and the constant just him and Manny Ramirez, I hated the two of them every time they played the Yankees. But what David Ortiz has meant for the city of Boston, what he has meant for that organization, I think that he is going to go down as, if not the greatest Red Sox of all time. Okay, number 2, maybe number 2.
Ted Williams. Ted Williams.
Oh yeah, Ted Williams. Yeah, Ted Williams is always going to be number 1. You're right, Teddy Baseball, Teddy Ball Game. But the thing I have to say about it is he's on the Mount Rushmore of Red Sox. He's going to be. I said I can't say enough great things about David Ortiz, and Big Papi's going to be missed also. But he's going to, even though the All Star Game is stupid in the sense that it determines home field advantage for the World Series, and I can't wait till they take that out because it's stupid. But it's gonna be fun to watch him play in this final game. The same way we watch Rivera, the same way we watch Jeter.
Yeah, I mean, let's also not forget about the unsung hero of Bartolo Colon in New York. This might be his last All-Star game, too. I really want to see him hit, even though he prays that he's not going to hit.
Bartolo Colon is, I said, we talked about it in our last episode, but Bartolo Colon is one of the awesome guys in Major League Baseball right now. Like, I just want to meet Bartolo Colon and, like, just give him a hug. Like, if you're watching this Bartolo Colon, just can I come down to Citi Field and just give you a hug? This is, like, he just makes the game
fun. He just makes it fun, and it's just nice to see him. I remember we used to watch. I mean, we didn't watch him because he was in Cleveland, but we remember when he was like one of the top 3 pitchers in baseball. He won a Cy Young in Cleveland, and see his career last so long and still do so well. It's just always fun to see.
And I remember he fell off the face of the earth a couple years ago, and then somewhere out of nowhere he just resurfaced. And after he resurfaced is when everything kind of he's been effective, obviously with the All-Star game nod, but he's been very effective even in his old age, and he's able to kind of outwit these young whippersnappers that he's playing against. So it's crazy. It is, and I'm happy for Bartolo. I said I still really kind of want that hug because he's awesome.
Just one last point: that famed home run, the greatest home run in baseball history that he hit early in the season, was in San Diego. So the game's in San Diego. So could
you imagine if Bartolo Colon comes up to bat and hits a home run?
Give him the MVP.
That's it. No, he has to. They have to give him the MVP. He's gonna get a standing ovation. He's gonna get a curtain call. The guys on the field are gonna get off the field and give him a hug. He's gonna flip the helmet as he's coming home. It's gonna be great. I can't. Now I want him to hit too.
I can't wait to watch the game tomorrow night.
Over the weekend, Matthew, Serena Williams captured yet another Grand Slam title. What do you think? Is she the greatest of all time?
The way you just said it just reminded me of DJ Khaled, another one and another one. Because that's the way it seems like when she wins. I mean, she tied Steffi Graf with the most Grand Slams in the Open era. And the Open era began in 1968, which allowed when professional players were allowed to compete against amateurs. And I just think in our lifetime, she's been like the most dominant athlete in any sport or any gender.
It's hilarious that people don't understand that. Like for me, when people say that, like, oh, she's the Michael Jordan of tennis, it's like no,
it's like
she's
Bill Russell.
It's not. She's like the Serena Williams of tennis. Like she gets her own title. She's so dominant. She's just head over heels the best player every time she steps onto a court, and it's. To be able to watch her do what she does and to win the championships, to win the Opens, to win the titles, and to watch her catch that record, it almost reminds me of how dominant in a individual sport that Tiger was.
Yeah, that's the only comparable thing I can think of.
And even then, I still feel like she's a little bit more, because Tiger was dominant to a point where you just watched to see. If you love Tiger Woods, you watch to see him win. If you hated Tiger Woods, you watch to see him lose. And I feel like it's the same way with Serena, but there are a lot more people that love Serena than they did that love Tiger. And the way that she plays the game of tennis is, I don't think there's ever going to be a player like her again.
Yeah, it's just, I was reading this stat. I believe she's won, I think it's either 7, 8, or 9 Grand Slams past the age of 30. And that's so impressive because in tennis, like, your prime's like, you're not even in your prime when you're 30. And you're seeing, like, on the men's side, you see Roger Federer, you see Rafa Nadal, they break down. But Serena's still going. I think unless she's, like, suffers a very major injury, which I really hope she doesn't, she's going to own the most Grand Slams in women's tennis history.
Oh, yeah, no, by far. She's gonna shatter the record, I think. She's going to beat it by at least 6 or
I
7
think
titles.
I'd say like maybe 28. Like the record's 24. I think she will get like 28.
Yeah, so I think she might get 30, and I think she had an outside chance at 30.
She got 30.
I said I think she has an outside chance at 30. It would. I think it would be something that would be a sight to see, especially if because after she breaks the record, then that's the only thing it's going to be is how far can she go? Can she get 30? Can she get more than 30? Yeah. Can she get up to that level? And you talk a little bit about it in the sense of she hasn't broken down. She's had injuries and nagging things here and there as any athlete does, but it's the fact that she's been able to work through it. She's been able to stay at that top level performance for so long. I said, me and you remember when she had the bead braids in her hair, and Venus.
Yeah. When she and her sister Venus, who unfortunately went through some injuries and went through some problems, when they were both starting up, and they were still they took the sport by storm. Like everyone knew who they were. And Serena especially won. She's still going at it. She's still dominating like no one we've ever seen before. And
you talk about her and Venus. Her and Venus won the Wimbledon doubles.
Yeah, so it's I didn't know about it. I read that like a few days later. Like, wow, they just keep on winning.
They just went to England, so we're just gonna take everything and then leave. So I said it's been a pleasure to watch Serena Williams play. It's been a pleasure to be in the era that she's in. I said we've talked a little bit about some of the greats that are going to be leaving the sporting world. David Ortiz, Tim Duncan, Bartolo Colon. So to be in the era where we can watch people be as great as they are, it's been a pleasure. It really has been.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm definitely grateful to be able to see all these greats. Is definitely something I really appreciate.
As we wrap up the show today, guys, we want to talk a little bit about, we'll mention really quick, congratulations to Portugal on winning the Euros yesterday, over the weekend. UFC also sold for $4 billion. Well, that got announced today, right, Matt?
Yes, they got sold for $4 billion, and that became the biggest individual sale of any sports franchise, beating the Dodgers and the Clippers, who sold respectively 2.1 and 2 billion.
I still can't believe the Clippers sold for $2 billion. But, and also other news out of Michigan, Draymond Green, forward for the Golden State Warriors, was arrested. So we will definitely keep an eye on that and be able to talk to you guys a little bit more about that once we have details, probably coming on Wednesday, which will be episode 3 of 15 Rounds of Flambé. Guys, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. What you can do for us, as we continue to do for you, is hit that subscribe button down there. Yeah, right down at the bottom. It's going to be down there. Also, down there with the subscribe button is going to be the link to our GoFundMe page. Like I said before, we're trying to bring up the production levels for our show. We want to continue to put out a good video here for you guys each couple times a week. So please help us with that. Mics, cameras, lights, all that good stuff. So it'll be down there in the link in the description below. Thank you again so much for watching, and we will be back on Wednesday. See you then, guys.